We use the term inclusive design to cover a much broader notion around the usability and the interaction with digital systems and software. So that instead of accessibility being about somebody's individual disability, some medical condition that they have, something that needs to be fixed or rehabbed or somehow accommodated, that instead disability becomes an artifact of the interaction that a person has with a software system. And I think we've all had those experiences of disability when we're working with software. Whether it's things like you're listening to a video in a quiet environment in the library or at home late at night and you don't want to disrupt people around you, you can't turn up the soundtrack. So an extra layer like captioning or a transcript of the audio of that video ends up making your experience with it much richer and more fulfilling. So accessibility is that ability for a system or a resource to be able to accommodate your individual needs and preferences.
So maybe this is a new way of thinking about design, but where do you see it already playing out in the classroom, or the potential around educational materials or the experience of learning?
Right, that's a great question. I'm a developer, a software developer, so I don't get as much time in the classroom as I'd like, but I think that we're doing a lot of work with OER these days, and I think OER has this unique opportunity that other kinds of learning and other kinds of licensing models don't have, which is the ability to directly adapt, remix, reuse. Today we talked a little bit about the importance of separability as well as addition or aggregation of content, so that you can pull out some aspect of a resource and do something different with it. In a traditional licensing model, in a traditional learning environment, that's hard to do, it might not be legal, or there may be technical limitations related to it. OER has this inbuilt model of reusing, remixing, adapting, and so on that I think opens up whole new opportunities for this broader notion of accessibility and inclusion.
What are you excited about as far as open video, and what does open video mean to you now that it didn't 2 days ago?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I mean, partly I'm excited to hear just how many people are thinking about video in context of other media. So today, even in our conversations, it wasn't a huge stretch to think, well, okay, I've got video, now I need other things. I need something that's going to work on low bandwidth or a smaller device. I need something that maybe can be printed out. I need to connect it with data out on the web and seeing it in a larger picture about how data is connected. Instead of being siloed away in one repository, I can imagine bringing together video, text, images, all kinds of resources, things that fit different learning styles, fit different media, different teaching situations, that sort of thing, bringing them together seamlessly instead of separating them off into, oh, well, we put our stuff in YouTube or we keep a blog, but how could we weave together a user experience that crosses those boundaries? That, to me, is both the biggest challenge and most interesting opportunity for open video in education.
I don't know if you have this problem in Canada, but we have a lot of students that leave school and they don't graduate. Are there some aspects of improving design that you think might engage students in a more satisfying way and keep them in school?
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that this model of trying to accommodate needs and preferences opens up a space for all of the different learning styles and different ways of seeing the world and understanding it that would keep people engaged in the learning process. It's a big challenge to the institutional model, but also that's where we have the expertise, the richness of collaboration, of having peers that are diverse and can challenge you and that sort of thing. So I would hope that this approach to letting learners map their own way through the material to gravitate towards resources or alternatives in a pool of resources that fit their needs best would keep them more engaged. The interesting challenge is how you balance that with the sort of personalization bubble. The sense in commercial culture these days that you're constantly being able to personalize to make things safer and more secure. So if you buy one album on iTunes, it'll recommend other albums similar to it, or books or other things. The risk here is that you get a kind of myopia of ideas that you keep closing in further and further. So the same with learning, this personalization has to continue to engage and challenge, put learners in a position where they have what they need, but also can challenge them and put them in positions where they might not be fully comfortable as part of the learning process too. So it's that difference between a barrier that excludes or limits learning versus a challenge and a discomfort that enables that.